So the question of figuring out what you sell at your core, right, is to really understand, if I understand what I sell at my core, when I'm speaking about it, which is basically what I teach people marketing is simply talking about your experience and sharing your experience. What happens is that we understand what it's going to cost our clients. We're going to, so for example, some of our clients work with binge eaters. Some of our clients work with people with ADHD who are not necessarily able to function in their regular day-to-day life within the way that they want. Some people, in our clients, they work with, people in the military who have PTSD. Some people work with chronic anxiety, chronic depression. Some people work with, overworked, burnt out men who are successful but yet feel empty inside. There are many, and to get to that kind of specificity, again, it's not searching outside for some niche. It's actually what we can discover in our own experience. So let me take you for the first thing. The first thing that you do if you were to work with me is to understand your zone of genius, right? Your zone of genius is what you love. And that's a combination. Again, it's a combination of a couple of things, usually 3 things, right? So it's a combination of what you do. Your zone of genius is what you love. Hey, Roma, right? It is something that when you're doing it, you're in the flow. Right, it's this natural thing that almost channels through you. You're almost compelled. It's like when you go outside and like especially coaches or teachers, you almost you want to teach and coach everybody. Anybody do that, right? It's this natural thing that it comes so naturally, and it's so joyful, and you almost get channeled as you're doing it. So your zone of genius it looks like that. It feels like flow, and guess what? It is the potential of getting paid. So either you're getting paid for it now, or you have the potential of getting paid for it. So that's your zone of genius. So again, it's a process. So to discover your zone of genius in its unique kind of triangular form, in your unique kind of 3, it's a process. And so here's a process. So if you want to discover what your zone of genius is, you need to prioritize it. So it's so funny. People come to me and they want to kind of sell their services, and so basically we start to teach them, like, okay, so one of the things we do is we start to distill your expertise, and then we discover who your dreamiest clients is, and then we discover, like, okay, so what is an 8-week or 12-week program that can collapse time so that we can move these people through that life-altering transformation that you can bring them through. And the funny thing is, people will start there. They're like, oh my God, okay, what's my program? Oh, okay. And then they hurt their head trying to figure it out. And then they start to freak out. And then all of a sudden, false identities start to come in. And they're like, oh my God, I don't think I could do this. And the funny thing is, I'll ask them, and because we figure out what their zone of genius is, when are you doing that zone of genius? So for some people it's movement, for some people it's speaking, for some people it's dance, for some people it's writing. Again, it's a combination of 3 things. And so for one of my clients, he was saying, oh, the thing that I absolutely love every time I travel is I love to go for a long walk and write. Like, that's my happy place. That's what I'm always doing that. And that's where all my ideas flow out. Right. And so I'm like, okay, yeah, great. So when are you doing that? I'm not. Right? So number 1, you got to prioritize your zone of genius. And so, basically the basic formula for that week when we were coaching together, I'm like, okay, so find your essence space. Some people are morning people, some people are night people, some people are midday. And he's like, okay, I'm a morning person. I'm like, okay, great. First thing in the morning, guess what you're going to do? You're going to go for a walk. And you're going to write. You're going to sit in that favorite cafe that you love, and you're going to write, right? And, again, it's like, oh, right? So that's what he did. So a week later, right? Because, you know, the week before he was like, oh my God, okay, this program, I don't know. And I'm not sure about this. And then like all of this freak out was starting to happen. So the first thing we did is, okay, we gotta bring you back into your zone of genius, get you out of that survival mode and move you back into flow, back into or in touch with your soul. That's the first thing. So that's what we did. And then we came back, and then all of a sudden the next week he had all of these ideas, all of these ideas that were flowing through, right? So your zone of genius, if you want to start to understand what you sell at your core, you must live and embody in your zone of genius, right?